I'm Mark Zustovich, Chief Public Information Officer at the New York City Department of Youth and Community Development. I was born and raised on Long Island and have lived in New York City for the past 20 years. So here at DYCD, I work in the Communications Unit. I am the Chief Public Information Officer. Among my duties, overseeing such things as press relations, creative, social media, audio and video, just anything having to do with communicating within the agency as well as to our partners outside the agency as well. The work that I do in the Communications Unit and our team, of course, as well, greatly impacts the community. Example of this would be just making sure that people are aware of the programs and services that DYCD funds. We can spend as much money as we want, we can have as many programs as we want, but if people don't know about those programs and services, they're of no use to anyone. So part of our responsibility is making sure that we always elevate the work of DYCD and make sure that New Yorkers are able to access our services and know the information they need to make sure they can apply and actually benefit from them. I interviewed a young man as part of my work here at DYCD who had struggled in life, and one of our programs helped him get back on the track. And I'm happy to report that in the years subsequent to the interview I did with him, he was an actor and he appeared in several motion pictures and is doing well in life. So that's just an example of how impactful DYCD and our programs can be. What inspired me to pursue a career in communications and public relations actually stems from my work as a communicator in a different way. Prior to working here at DYCD, I was a broadcaster, a journalist for almost 25 years. My experience included radio and television. I was a reporter for 1010 Wins here in New York City for 10 years. And you know, you can only do that work so much. It's a very, very difficult and challenging job. It demands a lot of your time. So, you know, I was getting older and I decided that it's time to maybe use all of the knowledge I gained as a broadcaster and use it to help the public, right? So that was a natural progression for me to come to DYCD in 2013. Prior to coming to DYCD, I worked at the Brooklyn Borough President's Office in the same capacity as a communications director and a press person. What started me in radio and television actually goes way back in my life, probably age 11 or 12. Now, I'm a little older. I used to sit in the basement of my house on Long Island and I used to pretend that I was a disc jockey. That's how I started out. I would sit down there for hours on end playing, yes, old vinyl records on the record player, recording it, practicing my voice, my radio voice. I had no formal education. I had no formal training. I just took a couple of quick courses on radio, put out my resumes and my tapes, my air check tapes that I had made up at home, and I got a job. I was surprised. I got a full-time job working in New Jersey at a radio station. I started out as a disc jockey, but ended up doing news because it was the only position that was available that was full-time. Digital media has really changed the landscape from the time when I was in broadcasting. Obviously, when I was in radio and doing even some television, there were only a select number of stations, outlets that promoted the news, right? So you had your major networks and you had smaller stations, and that was pretty much it. Now, of course, we have all kinds of ways of communicating through social media and other platforms. But this is really important in terms of our young people because some of us old school people still use television, we still use radio. I have Sirius, I love it, you know. But our young people, of course, communicate in their own ways. And one of the challenges here in our unit and here at DYCD is making sure we identify those ways to best reach young people and their families. In the 12 years that I've been working at DYCD, I've worked for 3 administrations, Mayor Bloomberg initially, then Mayor de Blasio, and currently Mayor Adams. Each one has their own unique style of management and each has their own priorities. When I first came on to DYCD, one of our first big projects was expanding our middle school after-school program. That was the priority at the time. Then years later, under Bill de Blasio, his big platform was pre-K, which is not so much our agency, but that was his priority. And under Mayor Adams currently, DYCD's profile has been raised substantially, along with Commissioner Keith Howard. We have pretty much gotten, I think that the commissioner likes to say, we are a small agency with a large footprint, right? So we're doing a lot of work in so many different areas. The big shift I've seen is that we're doing much more in the public view work, right? So it's not just us sitting back in our offices making sure everything is running smoothly. It's getting out there to let people know who we are, what we do, and having many more events and public activations. We're really getting our faces, our name out there so people know who we are and what we do. I think one of our biggest challenges, especially in the communications unit, is to make sure New Yorkers understand the connection between DYCD and the services they're receiving. So many people, of course, may know that their child is in the Summer Youth Employment Program, right? Or that they attend a Beacon or a Cornerstone. They know those names. Our responsibility is to make sure that people know where those names come from. Who oversees Beacon, Cornerstone, SYEP? It's DYCD. And our funding that we get from the City Council, from the Mayor's office, all go, and the federal and state government, all goes to making sure that these programs run effectively. Outside my work here at DYCD, I absolutely love hiking and mountaineering. I get out as much as I can, not as much as I used to, but taking a hike or a walk in the woods to me changes everything. It sets me, it resets me. I'm also a genealogist. I do family history, not only my own, but for others as well. I traced my family back to the 1500s, and I'm still researching. I've been doing it for 20 years. Retirement to me means, finally doing things I didn't have time to do before. Just a couple of things I'm interested in learning is woodworking. I want to be able to build my own furniture and maybe some boats like a kayak or a canoe. I want to garden a lot more. That's on my list. And of course, I want to travel. Hike more mountains, hike more trails, maybe hopefully one day complete sections of the Appalachian Trail. All these goals I have as I get into this, I guess you can call it the sunset years of my life. I'm eagerly looking forward to it. It's an exciting time of my life. Again, I've worked for most of my adult and teen life. And yeah, it's time for the next stage coming soon.